The Chicago Bears could possibly be in play for this defensive superstar at the trade deadline. And today's episode of Geek on the Mic starts right now.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You can go and subscribe cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Geek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. First and foremost, Bears fans, happy Friday to every single one of you guys. We are only a couple of days away until the Chicago Bears take on the Baltimore Ravens. And if you haven't seen the terrible news in regard to the Chicago Bears injury report for that game against the Ravens on Sunday, both Kyler Gordon and Tyreek Stevenson will both be out for the Chicago Bears, and that is a huge whammy for already a thin secondary. Of course, Jalen Johnson is out, Terrell Smith is out for the year, and now both Tyreek Stevenson and Kyler Gordon are out for the Chicago Bears. Now it looks that Nashawn Wright, Joshua Blackwell, and Nick McLeod will be starting for the Chicago Bears in the secondary. So we're going to need a huge day from our defensive line and an even a bigger day from Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, and the Chicago Bears offense. So Bears fans, give me your initial reaction down below in the comment section to the Chicago Bears injury report for the game against the Baltimore Ravens. My initial reaction, Bears fans, hey, next man up mentality. We have to trust our coaches. We have to trust Dennis Allen, and we have to trust Ben Johnson, that hopefully there will be an offensive explosion from Caleb Williams and this Bears offense. So Bears fans, on today's episode of Geek on the Mic, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the trade deadline that's coming up in the next couple of weeks on November 4th in the National Football League. And we have talked about many different names, guys like Breece Hall, Jermaine Johnson, Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals as well, even guys like Jeffrey Simmons. But one guy that we haven't really discussed on the podcast or really ever is a defensive tackle from the New York Jets, and he goes by the name of Quinnen Williams. We all know who Williams is. He's a former third overall pick back in the 2019 NFL draft. He's only 27 years old, stands at 6'3", 303 pounds. There has been so many rumors, not a rumor saying the Chicago Bears are interested, but there's been rumors that the New York Jets may be willing to trade Quinnen Williams at the trade deadline. As we all know, the New York Jets are currently sitting at 0-7, and reports have been made that multiple teams have been keeping a close eye on the New York Jets and guys like Quinnen Williams. Of course, we know that Breece Hall could be available for trade. Guys like Jermaine Johnson or Will McDonald could be available for trade. But now it seems that the New York Jets are going to be listening to any offer for any player, for the simple fact that they're 0-7. They may be looking to really just break off this roster and just start a huge reset over there in New York. And once again, when you're looking at a guy like Quinnen Williams, he would be an absolute game wrecker for the Chicago Bears defensive line. Rumors suggest that Williams would only cost possibly a second-round pick and maybe another middle-round pick. And for a player like Williams, that would be actually really cheap for Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears. When you look at Williams' career, during his 7-year career with the New York Jets, he has 40 career sacks, 8 forced fumbles. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. He was a first-team All-Pro in 2022. This is a guy that has made an impact not only in pressures, but in sacks, but also in impact plays as well. And when you look at a big area of need for the Chicago Bears, it's the need for more pressure on this defensive line. And sometimes pressure can come up the middle as well. Of course, I understand that we have a need at the edge rushing position as well. But just like how we talked about Jeffrey Simmons making an impact on the middle, if you're able to get an impact defensive tackle like a guy like Quinnen Williams, a guy that can really wreak havoc in the middle for this Bears defensive line, that should open up more pass rushing lanes for guys like Dayo Odeyingbo, Austin Booker, Montez Sweat, and he has done it time and time again with the Jets over the past 7 seasons. And now the Jets are just in a really tricky situation where, yeah, they could still keep Williams and continue to build around him. But if you are looking to go for a hard reset, this is a guy that's already 27 years old. By the time you are done with your rebuild, it could take 3, 4, maybe even 5 years. Quinnen Williams will be 32 years old and then out of his prime. So it would be smart for the New York Jets to take advantage and get some massive draft capital in return. The biggest thing here with Quinnen Williams will be the financial situation for the Chicago Bears. He is under contract through the 2027 season. He does have base salaries of $20.7 million in 2026 and $25.4 million in 2027, but only has $5 more million in guarantees after this season. So I think personally, if the New York Jets are willing to trade a guy like Quinnen Williams, we do understand that we are trying to make a massive move on this defensive line. And I do know that the pass rush has been a little bit better, and maybe hopefully with Austin Booker finally comes back, if he does ever come back, maybe he will make a big impact. But I think if Austin Booker doesn't return and has to go on IR for the rest of the season, or if he does return and he doesn't look good, I think the Chicago Bears have to do something on this defensive line to really take this defense to the next level. And I think also adding a guy like Quinnen Williams, especially with all the injuries on the back end and the secondary, will also help with that, right? Because the more pressure that you're able to get on opposing offenses and opposing quarterbacks, and really rush the timing of those offenses, that really does help the secondary of any NFL defense. So I would definitely be interested in a guy like Quinnen Williams. You let me know down below in the comment section if you think that would be a smart move for the Chicago Bears. And at the end of the day, Bears fans, there is nothing wrong with the phone call. If you call the New York Jets and they say, hey, we are not trading Quinnen Williams at all, then that's totally fine. But there's nothing wrong with the phone call. And hey, if you're able to get a game-changing D tackle like Williams for only a second-round pick, I would be all for it if I'm Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears. But as always, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears that you know. But other than that, be back for our all new Bears podcast right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
Cali, the shot town is Bears on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the Mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.